As night gathers around me, I allow myself to slow down and arrive fully in this moment. I sense the quiet of the room, the way the darkness feels soft rather than empty, like a gentle covering. I notice my body where it rests, supported without effort. I do not need to hold myself up. I do not need to achieve anything. I am simply here. I let my shoulders drop, letting go of the habit of carrying the day there. My jaw loosens, my tongue resting easily. I become aware of my breath, not trying to change it yet, only noticing its natural rhythm. Air enters, cool and subtle, and leaves again, warm and unhurried. With each breath, I feel myself settling deeper, as if my body remembers how to rest even when my mind forgets. I bring my attention gently to my feet, sensing any remaining tension. I imagine the weight of the day flowing downward and out, like sand slipping through open fingers. My calves soften, my knees release their quiet effort, my thighs grow heavy and relaxed. I do not rush this. I allow time to stretch, to slow, to widen. My breath begins to lengthen on its own, each inhale a little fuller, each exhale a little longer. With every breath out, I feel myself sinking, as if the surface beneath me is welcoming me closer, holding me more securely. I turn my awareness to my abdomen and chest. I notice how my breath gently lifts and falls there, like small waves on still water. I place my attention there tenderly, without judgment. If I notice tightness, I do not fight it. I simply acknowledge it and breathe into it, trusting that gentleness is enough. My heart area softens, not guarded, not braced, just open and quiet. I imagine warmth spreading there, a gentle glow that does not overwhelm, only reassures. As my body continues to settle, I become aware of the night itself. The world outside has grown quieter. Even unseen, I sense the slowing of life, the rest woven into creation. I remember that rest is not something I have to earn. It is something given. I whisper a quiet prayer within myself, not with urgency, but with intimacy. I acknowledge God's nearness here in the stillness, not distant, not demanding, simply present. I do not ask for anything yet. I only recognize that I am not alone in this quiet. My breathing now feels like a bridge, connecting my body and my spirit. With each inhale, I receive calm. With each exhale, I release what is no longer needed. I allow my awareness to drift upward through my neck, my throat, my face. My brow smooths, my eyes rest easily in their sockets. The small muscles around them soften. My scalp relaxes, as though a gentle hand rests there, steady and kind. Thoughts may still move through my mind, and that is all right. I do not chase them away. I let them pass like distant clouds across a wide night sky. I remain anchored in my breath, in the sensation of being held. I feel the quiet growing, not forced, but natural, like dusk deepening into night. I sense a peaceful readiness forming within me, an invitation to let go further. In this moment, I give myself permission to rest. I do not need to solve anything now. I do not need to remember everything. This time is set apart for stillness, for gentle presence, for peace. I feel my body heavy, grounded, safe. I feel my breath steady, unhurried, faithful. I feel my awareness softening, turning inward, like a candle flame sheltered from wind. And in this sheltered space, I continue to rest, allowing the quiet to deepen, allowing myself to be guided gently toward deeper calm. As I remain here, settled and supported, I begin to notice the subtle activity of my mind. Thoughts drift in, some unfinished, some familiar, some unexpected. I do not judge them or try to silence them by force. I simply observe them, as if I am watching leaves float along a slow-moving stream. Each thought appears, moves, and then continues on its way. I remind myself that I do not need to follow them. I can remain on the bank, breathing, present. When a thought tries to pull me into the past or the future, I gently bring my attention back to the steady rhythm of my breath. I feel the air enter my nose, fill my lungs, and then leave again. I allow the exhale to be a little longer, a little softer. With each long exhale, my mind loosens its grip. The urgency fades. The noise becomes quieter. I notice that some thoughts carry emotion with them: concern, regret, anticipation. I meet each one with kindness. I do not push them away. I acknowledge them and then offer them space to rest. I imagine placing each thought into God's hands, not dramatically, but simply, trusting that I do not need to hold everything myself. There is relief in this letting go, even if it happens slowly. My mind begins to feel more spacious, as if there is more room between thoughts. In those spaces, I sense a deeper quiet. I become aware of the gentle hum of being alive, the subtle presence beneath all mental activity. I rest my attention there, where words are unnecessary. I feel held by something steady and patient, something that does not rush me. As my breathing continues, I notice how my body responds to the calming of my mind. My shoulders feel heavier, my hands warmer. My heartbeat feels steady, untroubled. I allow myself to sink further into this calm, trusting that it is safe to do so. I do not need to stay alert. I can soften completely. I offer another quiet prayer, one that feels more like a surrender than a request. I acknowledge that God understands my thoughts even before I form them, that I do not need to explain myself. I rest in the idea of being known fully and still loved. That awareness settles something deep inside me. The need to manage, to control, to analyze begins to dissolve. I imagine my mind as a lake at night. Earlier it may have been stirred by wind, by movement, by activity. Now the surface begins to smooth. Reflections become clearer. The water grows still. I do not force this image. I let it arise naturally, letting my awareness rest there. The stillness is not empty. It is full of quiet presence. If another thought arises, I acknowledge it gently and let it pass. I return again and again to the simple sensation of breathing, to the feeling of being here, now, supported. Over time, the thoughts become fewer, softer, less demanding. I feel less compelled to engage with them. There is a growing sense of ease, as if my mind is remembering how to rest. I notice that even my inner voice has grown quieter. Words feel less necessary. Silence feels comfortable rather than awkward. I allow myself to linger in this silence, trusting it. I sense God's presence not as something dramatic or overwhelming, but as a calm companionship, a steady light that does not flicker. In this gentle quiet, I feel safe to let go even more. I allow my awareness to drift, to soften, to rest without direction. I do not need to stay focused. I do not need to hold on to anything. I am allowed to be here, breathing, resting, letting the night carry me deeper into peace. As the quiet deepens, I begin to feel the accumulated weight of the day asking to be released. I turn my attention inward, noticing where tension still lingers. Perhaps it rests in my lower back, my neck, or behind my eyes. I do not analyze it. I simply notice it, and with my next slow breath, I invite softness there. On the inhale, I imagine gentle warmth arriving. On the exhale, I imagine that warmth loosening what has been tight. I speak a prayer within myself, one of surrender rather than effort. I acknowledge that I have done what I could today, and that it is enough. The rest does not belong to me to carry through the night. I imagine placing the events of the day down gently, as if setting a heavy bag on the floor. I feel my hands empty. I feel relief spread through my chest. As I continue to breathe, I invite God's presence into every place where I feel weary. Not as a demand for change, but as a quiet companionship. I imagine a calm light, soft and steady, moving slowly through my body. It does not rush. It does not overwhelm. It simply arrives, filling each space with peace. Where it passes, tension melts. Where it rests, calm remains. I feel this light in my shoulders, easing the habit of holding everything up. I feel it in my spine, encouraging length and ease. I feel it in my hips and legs, grounding me, reminding me that I am supported. My breath flows easily now, without effort. Each inhale feels like a gift. Each exhale feels like a release. I reflect briefly on the idea that I do not need to stay vigilant through the night. There is a trust that allows me to rest, a trust spoken of in ancient prayers, where sleep itself is described as a gift. I let that understanding settle into me, not as a concept, but as a felt sense. It is safe to rest. I am watched over. I do not need to keep watch myself. As I surrender more fully, I notice a subtle shift in my awareness. My thoughts feel farther away, like sounds heard from another room. My body feels heavier, more relaxed. I sense a quiet joy in this letting go, a relief that comes from no longer striving. I remain present, but not alert, awake, but drifting. I offer gratitude quietly, not listing things, but allowing a general sense of thankfulness to rise. Gratitude for breath, for rest, for the gentle presence that does not leave. This gratitude does not energize me, it soothes me. It feels like a soft closing of the day, a gentle acknowledgement before sleep. I continue to breathe slowly, allowing each breath to carry me deeper. I imagine myself resting in God's care, not as a child who must be instructed, but as one who is simply held. There is nothing I need to say now. Silence feels complete. As I remain here, the sense of surrender deepens. I am no longer trying to relax. I am relaxed. I am no longer trying to trust. I am resting in trust. The night feels like a shelter, and within it, I allow myself to sink further, letting the calm light fade into a quiet, knowing that I am safe. In the growing stillness, I sense God's presence not as something outside of me, but surrounding and within, like the air I breathe. It is subtle and steady, a peace that does not demand attention. I imagine this presence as a gentle glow, dim enough to soothe, bright enough to reassure. It fills the space around me without boundaries, like a calm horizon that never ends. I let my breath become the anchor of my awareness. Each inhale feels like a quiet receiving. Each exhale feels like a soft release into trust. I no longer count the breaths or guide them deliberately. I simply follow them, allowing their natural rhythm to lead me deeper. My body knows how to sleep. My spirit knows how to rest. As my awareness drifts, I notice moments where my thoughts disappear entirely, replaced by a soft, wordless calm. When thoughts return, they are faint and slow like echoes. I do not resist them. I allow them to fade again, trusting the rhythm of this gentle coming and going. I rest in the idea that I am held in a love that does not sleep, even as I do. This thought does not stimulate my mind, it settles it. I feel a sense of protection, not dramatic, but quiet and dependable, like the feeling of being wrapped in a familiar blanket, known and trusted. My body feels warm now, comfortably heavy. My hands and feet are relaxed. My face is soft. I sense that my breathing has grown shallow and slow, a sign that my nervous system is settling completely. I allow this without concern. There is nothing to monitor, nothing to manage. I imagine myself floating gently, not upward but inward, sinking into a deep, calm space within. It is a place without edges, without demands. Time feels less important here. The night stretches out peacefully, and I feel no need to fill it with thought. I offer one last quiet surrender, releasing even the need to be aware. I trust that I can drift. that I do not need to stay present to be safe. I allow my attention to soften completely, like a candle flame dimming on its own. As I rest here, the sense of separation between my breath, my body, and the quiet presence around me begins to blur. Everything feels unified, calm, still. There is nothing I need to do, nothing I need to say. I simply am, and that is enough. The quiet deepens further, and I feel myself slipping gently towards sleep. My awareness becomes diffuse, soft, ungrasping. The last traces of tension dissolve. The night holds me, peace surrounds me, and without effort, without thought, I allow myself to drift fully into rest, carried by stillness, wrapped in calm, sinking into deep, restorative sleep. In Jesus' name, amen.